another episode of Neat Conversation. Keith, New England Whiskey, Moon's Tavern, Austin, coming to you with another episode. I did bring in a celebrity, Taylor Swift. Me and Austin haven't quite done cameos yet, but I thought Taylor was important to join us on this one as we build into Super Bowl week here. But this is your unscripted YouTube show where we go everywhere and anywhere. As you can tell, I didn't even jump into the intro. I started talking about our guest celebrity. I was pretty excited. I mean, the haters are going to hate, but me and Austin are going to talk some bourbon and have a neat conversation with you. So,
the haters are going to hate, and we're going to take.
Tate. Our subscribership goes right down, but you know, it is what it is. So, Austin, real quick before we dive in, I don't know if you've picked a Super Bowl team that you're rooting for or who you think's going to win, but do you have a Super Bowl favorite this week?
Well, anyone but the people that you got on your shirt there. I mean, it's I gotta hope that the Eagles. It's the Eagles, right? Eagles and the Chiefs. Yeah, I'm hoping that the Eagles will do something. I was really hoping that the Redskins or the Commanders would have pulled through. Obviously, I'm a Detroit fan, so I wanted Detroit to win, but they couldn't come through. You know, the injuries and stuff like that. Not making excuses. It is what it is. But then I was hoping that, you know, I had some of my Wolverines on the Commander squad. So I was hoping Mikey Sanderstill would be able to pull through and the whole squad. And they had a heck of a year, though. You cannot be mad at the year that they've had compared to what they've been. But, yeah, so, I mean, I'm hoping Saquon Barkley runs all over the Chiefs, the Chefs, and I mean, it just depends. If they're paying off the refs, then yeah, they're going to win. So
yeah, I'm with you. I'm hoping we have a Eagles fly on the way to victory in this one, and we don't see the three-peat. We can hold that for my boy Tom, you know, in the Patriots style. So we'll see what happens here. But I'm kind of excited about what we're pouring. As much as I love talking football and sports, I really personally don't want to wait because I've already actually poured some in my glass. I was so excited. Because it is one of my favorite distilleries. Everyone that follows me on Instagram or personally knows it. It is, and we're bringing out some of their top stuff. I see which BTAC you went with, but I'm going with a little Thomas Handy here. The Sazerac Rye.
Everyone loves the Handy.
Hey, you know, I don't know too many people that have ever complained with Handy, so.
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump to some William LaRue Weller. What years is yours?
My Handy, you mean?
Yes, sir.
I think you have to look it up by proof, right? There is the laser code on the bottle. I don't know if I have enough light going on, truthfully.
Gotcha.
See the laser code on it?
I'm seeing now the Sazerac. Yeah, my Sazerac and my Sazerac 18 and the Eagle Rare 17 actually says it on the label. Mine's a 2021, so this is an older one. I've been nursing this bottle forever, but it's getting to the point where I'm gonna have to go ahead and do something with it. I don't want to because I like having it back here, but you can't have it forever, right? I mean, that's what it's there for, is to drink. So. Yeah, I thought we were going to, when you came over here, I thought we were going to get into this more, but we ended up going all over the place. I think you did get some Eagle Rare 17 because you said you've never had that before. But the only other one that you didn't have before was the Saz 18, right? Or have you had that before?
I have not had the Saz 18, so I believe that is now the only one that I am missing. Mine is a 2023.
Okay.
Thompson, so. But you know, you might be coming down to visit in March, so feel free to bring it. We'll bottle kill it. You know, it's fine. April, I should say April.
Don't threaten me. I'll bring the whole daggone lineup. I mean, my stag is a little bit. I mean, it's a lot more. I think my stag is a 2023. But everything else in my BTAC, the BTAC line that I have is when they did not come out with the George T stag.
Okay.
And it was cool because, you know, big shout out to the liquor store that I typically go to, Big Apple Liquors in West Virginia, when she does get the BTAC lineup, she lets one customer every single time let them, if they want, the whole collection. So I was that guy that year that I got it, and I was able to get the whole collection, which, that's crazy. I never would have been able to get it all if she wouldn't have done that. So that was kudos to her, in the store for hooking me up like that. And of course, I think ever since then they haven't gotten the whole lineup ever since then. But hey, it was cool while it lasted, right?
Yeah, definitely, and that's awesome. I know someone once similar, not exactly the same, but he got the whole Weller lineup. I mean, at the time there wasn't the single barrel, there wasn't the Weller Millennium, but it was Special Reserve, Weller 12, Weller 107, Weller Full Proof. Obviously not a store pick in this case. I feel like that was it at that point. Oh, the CYPB. I knew I was missing one. And the WLW, the whole lineup.
So is the Handy your favorite out of the whole lineup, or?
I wouldn't say it's my favorite. It was my first BTAC, so that definitely holds a special place for me. It was tough. I was I was in a raffle. The raffle might have even been in 2024. It was just the 2023 release that was in it. But they had 2 bottles of that and 1 bottle of a lot of the other BTACs. And so I said, I'm just going to put all my tickets, or most of my tickets, into the Handy. My odds are better. There's 2 bottles of that. There's 1 bottle of WLW, other things like that. So why not go where my odds are better? And, I won. So my first BTAC. So that was a pretty good day.
Heck yeah.
But I probably, like I said, I haven't tried them all. So I don't want to say what my favorite is, but I'd probably definitely gravitate towards the Eagle 17, which I know is your favorite. Because I saw you when I was pouring it. You were watching to make sure I didn't. Oh, no.
Little oops.
Oops, Austin. I don't know how the rest of the bottle wound up in my Glen. I am in Moon's Tavern, just trying to do a Moon's pour.
There you go. No, you were very funny with that, because you, if you actually ever drink with Keith, he does stuff where he drinks very small pours and he does quite a bit. And it's he was very you were very conservative on your pour that you had.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'd also been drinking quite a bit, so I knew my palate wasn't anywhere close to fresh or clean. So I wasn't trying to act like I'm going to be able to get my full tasting notes on it. And so, it wasn't like, why go crazy on something that I'm not going to get its full complement on? And, it was later in the night, I have pictures of everything we drank, or most of what we drank, but not everything. And, there wasn't any reason to go crazy. I was just appreciative that you were willing to pour it. I think we did either the Booker's 13 right before that or right after it. So it was a pretty good few pours that I had right there in the row.
We had the Baker's. It was the Baker's 13. I think I can't remember all the stuff that we had, man. That night was a very long night, and
yeah,
and it just. I mean, we had so many different pours. It wasn't even funny.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about going to Jerry's house that night, and he poured us the antique, not the 107 antique, a different antique, also by Buffalo Trace, that he got over in Italy years ago. So, I mean, we were drinking that. We drank some chicken cock at his house. We can probably forget about that one. But we had a lot. We had the Sagamore pick, which was delicious, that Jerry sent me to, which was great. But yeah, no, we definitely drank a lot that night. But
so the Eagle Rare 17 is your favorite now too, out of what you've had.
It's really between that and what you got right there in front of you, I'd say. I mean,
Really?
I'm a big, Weller fan. Weller has a special place. It's, I was lucky. My first 2 bottles of bourbon were at Blanton's and a Weller 107. So my journey really started with it. So that's probably why I gravitate towards Buffalo Trace. But the Weller line is still, to this day, is one of my favorite pours.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what's funny with me is that the Weller is not my favorite, the William LaRue Weller, and a lot of people think I'm probably crazy for that. The Eagle Rare set. If I had to put them in a line, of what I liked from the best to last, the best to me is the Eagle Rare 17, and I'm probably going to surprise people on this one. The Saz 18 is my number 2. George T. Stagg would probably be number 3. This would probably be number 4, and then the regular Handy would probably be number 5. A lot of people.
I thought we said everyone loves a Handy. Now you're hating on a Handy.
I didn't say that. No, I love it, but it's just not my favorite, right? And usually most people, like if you look on the internet or whatever, you watch other YouTube channels, most people will pick the William LaRue Weller, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I don't know, man. I love Antique 107, and that's probably like if I had to pick the Weller that's like the Weller that stands out the most to me would be that. And not that this is bad at all. I would drink this every day if I had the opportunity to do it. But there's other things that I would probably prefer over this, which that might get some people upset. But again, taste is so subjective. People like what they like, and it is what it is.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're watching this, feel free to toss below in the comment what your favorite BTAC is, whether you've tried them all or not. Maybe you've only tried one BTAC, so your favorite is also your least favorite then in that case. But for the ones that you've tried, let us know what you like the best in there, and be curious to see what people say and what people think.
I think the most consistent, though, out of all the ones that I had, I mean, I would never, ever get upset with a George T. Stagg. If I did a lineup between the WLW and the George T. Stagg beats this every day. I mean, for me, at least, I don't know if that's necessarily common for majority of people, but for me, that's where I stand on all of that.
And I've never had the luxury of doing the two side by side, and we actually talked about this in the episode that we posted last week about doing side by sides, and the time of day and when you're doing it can really affect it. What you have on your palate first. Like if you wake up first thing in the morning, you brush your teeth and you have 1 glass of water, and you do the WLW George T. Stagg, and then do it the next day, George T. Stagg WLW. Does the one you like better change? I mean, it really depends, but we've talked about that, so we don't have to go too deep into it. But
or you can brush your teeth right before you get on the YouTube channel and start tasting some stuff and try to pick out notes for me. I mean, that always works out real well too.
Yeah, I've done that once, twice, 3 times, maybe before today's. I don't know, but see, at least with today's, I knew I was going to be drinking something that I know some of the tasting notes and I get a bit of mint from. So I figured a little mint toothpaste, a little mint in my bourbon. I'm not going to overly complain with it. So
it all just kind of parallels it.
Exactly. Yeah, a little bit different mint, but it works out.
So what tasting notes are you getting on that Handy?
Well, like I was just saying, I definitely get the mint, and it's not my toothpaste mint, because I made sure to drink, I tried to drink a bit of water before doing this one to try to cleanse my palate a little bit. But I definitely do get some of the mint. It's your typical rye spice, which I say often when you're drinking rye, but I get my rye spice off the bat. I get a little bit of that mint, baking spice. Those are my prominent notes right off the bat. A little bit of pepper in there, a little bit of that, it's probably part of the rye spice, but a little bit of that pepper crack, that, kind of balances me out, smooths off a little bit on the back end of, a sweetness, a creaminess, not like a nutty creaminess, but, probably some of your brown sugars and caramel blending and mixing well together. Yeah.
So, I mean, that sounds delicious. It makes me almost want to go grab the Handy and try that again. Which one that I have tried again so in Virginia, any BTAC, almost all the BTAC stuff was all allocated. But Sazerac Rye has come off of the allocation list, so you can get Sazerac Rye all day long, the 90 proof one, the baby Saz. So I've done some more stuff with that, and I really enjoy it, man. I mean, it's definitely opened my eyes a little bit more and appreciated that Sazerac Rye. But for the one that you have, yeah, I mean, it's again, it's not my favorite, but it's still very, very good. And I would be lying to you if I saw it at a store and I'd be like, I'm not getting that. I'm absolutely picking it up. Anytime that you can get any BTAC at a pretty reasonable price, you're going to pick it up. But anyway,
Yeah.
For me, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, just kind of to finish off what you were talking about, not about picking up a BTAC, but I find it interesting that in the BTAC line, you have Saz 18 and you have the Handy, which are 2 ryes. You have Baby Saz, and then Buffalo Trace's portfolio in terms of ryes is pretty bleak after that. You got the Chris Stapleton release with your Canadian rye, but outside of that,
we got E.H. Taylor barrel proof rye.
E.H. Taylor rye, yep.
And the E.H. Taylor straight rye.
Yep, the barrel proof rye, the straight rye. But the barrel proof is new, so what? They have, outside of the BTAC, three ryes. So pretty interesting. 5 BTACs, 2 of which are ryes. So almost half. And then probably 10% of their portfolio, 5% of their portfolio is rye after that.
It's more weeded stuff. You would think that they would have more weeded options in the BTAC instead of the rye, because you're absolutely right. It doesn't it's not necessarily, I don't think it's necessarily their highest performer, maybe. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a reason why that they're not doing more ryes. But anyway, so for Buffalo Trace, for whatever reason, man, I'm telling you, and it's all of them. So for this one, this one is very complex. It's very complex for me. And every time that I start drinking it, I get a little bit different things. But the one thing that I always get, not necessarily on the ryes, but on most Buffalo Trace stuff, is grape, man. I get that grape. I get kind of a grape note that really helps me discern that it's a Buffalo Trace product. But this William LaRue Weller, it goes into a deep, dark cherry, but not like medicinal cherry. It's very, very nice. I really, really, really like that. And obviously you get the vanilla. It's almost like a vanilla cherry cake with heavy baking spices. It's got a nice little Kentucky hug. It's not nothing too crazy, but it's just, it rounds itself, a little bit of cinnamon maybe, and obviously the caramel, brown sugar. I don't know if there is a bourbon that you would talk about that doesn't have caramel and brown sugar. I know we always say that, but I mean, really, I would challenge anyone to give me a bourbon that doesn't have those notes in it. But yeah, I mean, it goes in there. Let me see if I can pull some more stuff out. I feel like I got the easy ones, but it takes you on a ride. You know what I mean? It's not just like a straight line. God, man. I don't know. This is really good, Keith.
See? Your tasting notes from Austin. Everything you expect from a bourbon, and it tastes really good. No other tasting notes needed, I think.
Well, I mean, again, like what we talked about the last time. I mean, when you really single out these bourbons and you just are having one-on-one attention with that whiskey, I mean, you start getting things that you necessarily didn't get before, because you're tasting something that has lingered in your palate, right? Because you can't obviously absolutely clean out the palate unless you just stop drinking for a while and then let it reset, right? So I mean, it's definitely giving me more. I'm having a hard time picking it out. But yeah, the cherry is the most profound, and it's like almost like the not a cherry like a cherry you put on like a sundae, but like the bar cherries that are like the really, really dark, old-fashioned cherries. Um, Something of that nature that really goes down to that that area. It's really good though.
Yeah. I always find it funny though. There's a good bourbon bar down the street from me, and maybe we'll go there when you come up. Really good whiskey selection. Typical bourbon bar. The more allocated the bottle, the more expensive it gets. But if you look through the menu good enough, you can find really good things at the right price. I think they had a Parker's Heritage for $18, and I brought
Good Lord.
Joe, Rhode Island bourbon enthusiast, there, and I think we drank through the rest of the bottle. Joe was just like he ordered one. He's like, "You just leave the bottle. We'll tell you how much we drank." So there are hidden gems there, but they have a great candied bacon that you dip in a very nice butterscotch sauce to it. It's very, very delicious. I think I think we could have some fun and do some damage there. It's not too far from the house, so.
Yeah, so I got some more. So a powdered sugar too. It almost has like a pastry, almost like a cannoli kind of tasting on it. So it's like almost like a cannoli with the powdered sugar, but minus the chocolate chips. But it still has like kind of that ricotta in it, maybe a little bit. where it goes into that, and then it goes, it's just like it's covered in cherries. I don't know, man. It's really good. I'm appreciating it more and more. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna end up drinking the whole freaking rest of the bottle. Sitting here talking to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a picture later tonight.
Yeah. Be like, oops.
Empty bottle.
Yeah, I didn't mean for this to happen. Now, funny story about the BTAC line. So when I first got them or whatever, I was very, very excited. And of course, my wife drinks whiskey too at times. And so I was like, well, hey, babe, I want you to try these. So Miranda came down. She tried them all. You know what one she liked the best? Which kind of blew my mind. She liked the Sazerac 18.
Okay.
The Sazerac 18 was her favorite. And she does not like rye. But it is just so different. It's really, really good. And a lot of people hate on it because, it's the lower proof of all of them. But it's very complex. It's very good. I mean, it takes you on a journey of it. I mean, I wish you could have had it when you were here. We should have went ahead and got it there, but we'll make that up. Like I said, when I come down, I'll bring it if you still haven't had it, and we'll try it there. But it's funny because anytime that anyone ever tries to get it, she's like, no, you can't drink all of that. You gotta leave that.
Yeah, we'll make everything work. Hopefully, I know it's still a little up in the air, but hopefully you can make it down here in April. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the BTAC line. I mean, obviously, it comes with a lot of hype, and the one thing we got to remember is sometimes people always throw in some of those pappies in the BTAC line, but that's not accurate. It doesn't fall into that category. Just as allocated in a lot of cases, just as difficult to get, but it's technically not part of the BTAC line.
So, I got a question for you. Do you prefer? My answer is no. I much prefer a BTAC than any pappy that is available at all. I think the BTAC completely kills any pappies that I've ever had in my life. So I ask you that question. I mean, would you, if you could get a lineup of the Pappy 23, the 20, the Van Winkle 12, the Van Winkle 10, and then the Rye and all of that compared to getting a BTAC lineup, which one would you choose?
I mean, I'm gonna go opposite. That's no surprise to us. I'm a big fan of oak, and that smokiness that I get, and these pours are great. I love the BTAC line. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I don't really get a whole lot of that oaky, smoky characteristics in any of the BTACs. They're different. They drink differently. And I just love that oak flavor that I get. Out of the ones that I've tried in the rip line, I prefer 10 to 12. I think 12 is probably the lot B is my least favorite of the Pappy. Technically 10 is old rip. It's not part of the Pappy
Right.
line, but
Right.
out of the ones I've tried in it, the 10 doesn't really give me that oak characteristic that I enjoy, that smokiness. 10 I get a lot of, which I find fantastic. I tried the 20 and the 23. I haven't had the 13-year rye or the 15 in the Pappy line there. So
I've never had the rye, but I've had all the rest of them. I had the 23, I've had the 20, I've had the 15, I've had the 12, I've had the 10. And I mean, for me, and I had the 10 at one point. Obviously, I drank it all, but I blinded that against Weller 107, and Weller 107 won for me. I mean, I chose the antique over the Van Winkle. I don't know, man. The 20 and the 23 to me tastes like you're chewing on wood, and it just tastes like you're drinking wood. And it was really off-putting for me. And I know that you said that you liked that,
right.
but that it just really wasn't there. These right here, I feel like that's the sweet spot to a certain extent. That 17-year-ish, area. I think that's a little bit better. It's enough sweetness that kind of counterbalances that oak. And then I love the Eagle Rare 17 and all that kind of good stuff. But that's also a different mash bill. It's not all the weeded stuff. But yeah, man, I'm kind of surprised that you would say that. I would have thought that you like the different variances of the BTAC with the ryes in there, and it not being all weeded. Kind of surprised me.
Yeah. I mean, I think also a big difference between you and me is I'm also a cigar smoker. And you don't do the cigar, so I think I have a different appreciation for that oaky,
That's
smoky, fair. Leather type of palate. So I think it's also a bit different in that regard too. So
that's very fair. That's very fair. I didn't even that didn't even cross my mind until you just said it. So I mean that would make an absolute. That makes a lot of sense of putting it that way. But yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, with your lineup, you get a significant better variation than I get. I just get a little bit older oak as I go up. I mean, right. I don't think there's a massive difference from Old Rip 10 to Pappy 23. They're definitely, I haven't done them side by side. I really haven't had them within a close time frame to be able to compare the two. But there's definitely not as big of a variation as you're going to get with Handy, WLW, the Saz 18, the Eagle Rare 17. So you're getting a lot more variation. I'm just going on an oak journey.
Have you ever had have you ever done, well, you said you've never done the Pappy 15, but have you ever made a poor man's Pappy with the Antique 107 and the Weller 12?
I have both bottles. I could, but since I've had some of the Pappy line and, Old Rip 10 and things like that, I just never thought of trying the blend. I probably should, just for fun of it. Maybe that'll be something I'll do as a side-by-side.
See, for me, which was crazy, I did that and I put that up against the Pappy 15. I like the blend better. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, again, everybody's got their things that they like and all that, but it was the clear winner. It wasn't like I was like, I don't know, It was just like, nope, I like that one, And I've got my own little. So this was my Van Winkle 12 bottle, but I got my poor man Pappy blend here.
Yeah, but I think it exactly, and truthfully, what we were just saying before, it doesn't surprise me that you would go the way that you do, because 107 has a little bit of oak, but very subtle. I wouldn't call 107 oaky at all. I wouldn't be surprised if people drank it and didn't pick up any oak in that. And same with Weller 12, especially being a 90 proof. It's one of the lower ones in the Weller line. you're not going to get a lot of oak. So if you're not liking the oak characteristics that you get in Pappy, it doesn't surprise me at all that you gravitate towards the less oaky of the two.
So what Pappy is your favorite?
I mean, I've only had 10, 20, and 23.
You said you've had 12 before, right? The
12,
Van Winkle
yeah.
12.
Yeah, I mean, 12 is my least favorite out of the ones I've tried. Just like I said,
Okay.
It doesn't really have a lot of that oak. It's very... Yeah, and I guess because I'm expecting the oak, it's just kind of... It's more bland from the rest of the line.
It's watered down.
I'd probably prefer the 23. I mean, not
Really?
to just go with the oldest. I hear 15 is the best, and like I said, I haven't had the 15. So I don't want to, discount that. I haven't had the 13-year Family Reserve Rye, but I hear everyone likes the 15 the best. I did do a really fun side-by-side. I think it was probably last summer. It might have been this past summer. I can't remember which. I just had picked up the Heaven Hill 20-year, which is a corn whiskey, 20-year mellow corn, essentially. And my brother had, I don't know if he's finished the bottle yet. He had Pappy 20. So we did those two as a 20-year side-by-side because you don't really get a whole lot of 20-year-old bourbons, whiskeys out in the world.
Right.
I mean, the Pappy one, they're completely different. You have a very, very heavy corn whiskey and a 20-year oaky bourbon. I mean, they really weren't comparable. It wasn't like we disliked one or the other. It really wasn't a fair comparison. They were two very different profiles.
Yeah, I remember when you got the 20, and then I was contemplating on whether or not I wanted to open it up, and you kept taunting me, and I was like, all right, I'm going to open up the Heaven Hill 20-year. And, a lot of people talk crap about it. I mean, I appreciate it for what it is. I mean, I think it's good. I haven't drank a lot of it, to be honest. I mean, I still have quite a full bottle, but I might get into that tomorrow. It's one that out of the Heritage collection so far that I've had, the 17 by far is the superior one on that. But that 20 is good. The 18 is right behind the 17, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, the 20 is good. I mean, I'm not hating on it.
Yeah,
but I would be very curious to see what you picked though with the Pappy 15 compared to the Van Winkle 10.
Yeah,
because it's going to be the same proof points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was with my Heaven Hill. You were talking about joking about opening the Heaven Hill 20-year. Mine didn't even make it out of the store unopened. So,
but see, man, I love that. I love it. I love it that, and I'm the same way too. If I buy a bottle or whatever, I know right then and there that I'm keeping it or whatever like that. And I am not afraid to open it, not afraid to drink it. You've been to my house. You see every bottle that I got is open. I mean, it's not one of those ones that it's a museum piece, and I like it just so you can, share with people that never experienced it, or they're bourbon people, but they may have a hard time getting just a regular stag. Or
I see your glass is empty, and I'm about a sip away. And before I continue to make you pour all your BTAC out, maybe it's a good time I let you.
We need to cut this up. Cut.
Well,
because I'm going to keep drinking.
Well, cheers, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this BTAC episode of Neat Conversation with Taylor Swift, and we'll see who wins the Super Bowl. And
go Eagles!
Fly, Eagles, fly!